After my first job, I decided to go out on my own, and I had a little bit of experience in a lot of different places, a little entertainment, a little lifestyle and restaurants. My favorite, though, was I worked with one doctor during my internship, and I had one spa during my first job, and those were probably my favorite clients. I found the field of medicine, no matter what doctor I talked to, really fascinating, and I asked a lot of questions when I talked to those guys. That was my, internally, that was my odometer for like, this is what I'm passionate about.
Hey, Dr. Bill here with an amazing Meet the Mentor. This one I actually love and have loved for a long time, over 10 years now. Candis is the founder of Spotlight Group Agency, a well-known PR-driven communications agency specializing in health and beauty industry. For the last 15 years, she's represented and positioned medical experts as key opinion leaders, KOLs, in their respective fields, worked with national and international men and women's beauty brands, launched a medical aesthetics treatment in the cosmetic industry. She's also recognized for her ability to effectively tell client stories and generate exceptional media exposure, which she has done for me because I've worked with Candis for over 10 years now. And let's go. How did it start? How did you get into PR in the beginning?
Well, I actually studied PR and journalism in college, so I was one of the lucky ones. It just kind of fell in my lap. I had an older brother who was in the journalism department and was 5 years older than me, so I was still in high school, kind of wondering what I want to be when I grow up, and that phase when college counselors are like, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? What's your major going to be? And applying to colleges. And one day he came home and he was like, there's something called public relations that's a perfect fit for your personality. You should really look into it. And from there, once I applied to college, I did my first internship in PR just to kind of see if this is really what I want to do.
And where'd you do that?
I did that at Warren Cowan and Associates. It was an entertainment PR firm, and Warren Cowan was like the godfather of PR at the time. He's since passed. And I was lucky. I got some real hands-on experience getting in the trenches and writing pitches and securing media while I was in college, like as an intern. It was super exciting, and I was fascinated not just by the whole entertainment industry, like being in my early 20s, but fascinated with the fact that I was behind the scenes creating stories in articles, working with writers. People were reading those articles and they had no idea that I was a part of it.
So for people that don't know what PR is or what it does, and I know it's evolved a lot,
yes,
because back when you first started, there were probably no cell phones or
no social media
or anything.
Yeah.
But so it's really evolved. But I remember when I was practicing dentistry, like in the very early days,
yeah, a
woman that I went to high school with was a publicist and cold called me and said, hey, do you want me to be your publicist? I'm like, what's a publicist?
What's that?
I mean, maybe you can tell, because there's students out there that really have no idea. What is a publicist?
Yeah. Publicist and a PR and publicity and a publicist is somebody who's responsible for generating earned media for a client, a person, a product, a brand. It's basically the middle person between that company and media. So that could be television, digital, like the .coms, print magazines and newspapers, radio, podcasts, like what we're doing now. Anyone who is responsible for getting that brand exposure in media. It's highly credible as opposed to if you're marketing and you're developing an ad that goes in that magazine, you pay for that spot. In PR, you don't pay for the spot, but you are creating story ideas that encourage writers and editors and producers to talk to your clients, interview them, have them be part of stories they're working on or generate those story ideas. And in turn, it gives the client exposure and elevates their brand. So it's designed to build brand. It's an opportunity, and as a doctor, as an expert, or even a brand, it's an opportunity to really educate the public, educate those readers and viewers.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you decide to work with a publicist and you want to send out a message, what's your message going to be? For me, it wasn't like I'm selling this, and that was not a good message. As a doctor, my message always was educate, educate, educate. Educate the public, teach them what's available. If they want to do it, great, come to me and I can help you do it. But if you focus on education, I think that's going to be something that will be embraced much more by the public.
Yeah, I remember when I started, PR still kind of had a bad rep. People would call publicists spin doctors. It was the term that was coined, used to bother me so much. And I remember when I got into it, and I was like, this is going to be my industry. This is what I'm going to do. I vowed never to spin anything. I wanted to always bring the truth and make sure that I'm telling the story, telling it how it is, but using that cornerstone of education in almost everything that I do. And it's like people reading or watching these articles or these segments don't know how cool. Like, I'm sure people don't know this. I'm sure people don't know that.
Right.
They'd want to know, they'd want to learn, and using it through that. So you're really ahead of your time, Dr. Bell.
Well, thanks. You were there with me. So you did this internship while you were in college. You graduated college. First job was
a super small boutique agency. This woman worked out of her home, but she did restaurant, lifestyle PR, and a corporate company called CarMax. You know, the car, they sell, used cars. And so that was my first experience out of college, which was awesome because it was such a small agency that, again, I got real hands-on experience. It wasn't like I had to work my way up.
But tell them exactly what you were doing, because it's kind of a big cloud. I mean, I think people get the fact that you need a publicist, but like, what were you actually doing on a day-to-day basis to generate PR for your clients?
So one of the things I get asked when I do the mentor roundtable at LEAP, when the students come to the table and they ask, which I love, I look forward to this every year, is what does an average day look like for you? And the thing I love about PR is that no 2 days are the same. It's my favorite thing. Every day is something different. I'm working on something different or trying to push a strategy, develop strategy. So at this first job, what my days looked like were creating media lists. I was looking for writers and editors. So at the time I was working with restaurants, so I was looking for food writers and food editors, trying to figure out how we could get position these chefs as personalities. That was also something very new for the time. And just working, we had one spa I worked with.
So wait, so you were finding people to write about the restaurants.
Right.
But then you need to get what they write into.
So what I would do is I'd create the story. So let's say it was a seasonal story and asparagus was in season. So we'd work with the chef. What's your menu coming up? Oh, there's something with asparagus. That's a seasonal item. And then we'd talk to the food writers. We'd invite them to the restaurant. They'd come and sit down. They'd experience it, and then they'd be able to write about it firsthand. So our stories were either seasonal, they were about the chef and the reputation the chef had. They were about maybe a drink, because it was, the restaurant has a bar and it's a mixologist. So as a publicist, you're looking for all the different types of stories and reasons why someone would want to talk to your client or go to that business or use the product. So for us, it was food, the chef, the restaurant. Maybe there was something new. Maybe we hosted an event and actually invited a number of writers to the table. We did that often. A number of writers to the table to experience the food and get a feel for what the ambiance was like, and then go back and write about it.
Okay, let's go back a little bit more. So you did your internship.
I did my internship.
You went into your first job.
Yeah.
And then let's kind of go through your career, like where you went and then how you got to where you are now.
Well, I feel like I kind of have a unique story because most people will have a few jobs and be a little later in life when they start their own company. I was fortunate enough to do that younger. So after my first job, I decided to go out on my own, and I had a little bit of experience in a lot of different places, a little entertainment, a little lifestyle and restaurants. My favorite though was I worked with one doctor during my internship, and I had one spa during my first job, and those were probably my favorite clients. I found the field of medicine, no matter what doctor I talked to, really fascinating, and I asked a lot of questions when I talked to those guys. That was my internally. That was my odometer for like, this is what I'm passionate about.
Wait,
I asked a lot
and
of
you
questions.
even married a doctor.
I did.
Where your company is now is awesome. Where's it going to go?
Well, we've had great success with our clients, and so I think what the future looks like it's holding is more of partnerships instead of just representing those brands, is doing a little bit some partnership deals and working with them in that capacity, which was really exciting. And the opportunity to still grow, and in the same way that I loved educating myself when I worked with doctors and learning about HIPAA, what they can and can't say, and not just about the doctors, but their practice, how their practice worked, and what the structure was, and who to talk to make appointments happen or get media in for experiences. The same way working with bigger brands in this like aesthetic medical category, learning about regulations and FDAs and what you can and can't do and can and can't say. So I love the fact that I'm constantly learning and expanding that, and being able to work with clients that also have social impact is a big deal for me.
If you're a student watching this and you feel like, PR is your calling.
Oh, I hope it is.
First of all, what should they do like while they're in school to prepare?
Okay, so it's also my favorite question because I'm really passionate about this. Some of it I was fortunate enough to do, like an internship, but others I learned along the way in college and from my own mentor, who I still have and have picked up more. So definitely start with an internship. You want to, so PR spans a number of different industries: entertainment, fashion, health and beauty, tech. So think of something, an industry that you're passionate about, find a company that does that, and apply for an internship. And I always tell our interns that I require a minimum of 3 months, at least 2 days a week, because anything less than that, you're not getting experience. You're not getting that hands-on experience that you should get that's really going to help you. So in those internships, and it's not just about doing them, it's about looking at the people in the company, the lifestyle that they have, how do they treat each other, look at company culture. That's going to tell you later on when you graduate college what kind of company you want to be a part of. Do you want to be part of a corporate company or a small agency, a startup? Look at, and if you're lucky enough, you'll find mentors in those companies. The other thing that I recommend is doing informational interviews. Find people that do what you think you want to do, and reach out to them and ask them for maybe 15 to 20 minutes of their time. Most people,
Great
you'll be
idea.
surprised, are totally willing to talk about themselves and more than willing to give that time. And come prepared. You buy them coffee or buy them lunch. Come to their office, whatever's convenient for them, and come prepared with your list of questions and ask them how everything you're asking me. How did you get to
Or come to Leap and do it there and ask Candis.
Or come to Leap. I really look forward to it every year. I'm so
Okay,
excited.
I'm going to ask you a personal question because this is something I've never discussed with you, but I've always been in awe of. No, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but in a good way. You are a very successful publicist and a mom. And you really balance both really well. And for, a lot of people out there that want to have kids, I want them to know, there's hope. You can have like a full-time real job and have kids. How do you do it?
First of all,
and I know your husband is like a full-time doctor and like is not like in charge of the child care part. So it's pretty much your responsibility. How do you do it all?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for saying that and bringing that up.
But I've seen it firsthand.
I really appreciate that. It takes a village. It just takes a village. I have a very type A personality where I want to do everything and I want to be in control. And I learned very early on that when I had my first kid and I worked, that's not going to work if you want to do it all. You've got to be able to delegate and find good people in place. So that's what I've done. I mean, I rely heavily on I feel like a network of people who can do pickups and drop-offs and after-school activities. And I enlist, now that my kids are a little older, my mom really helps with homeworks and doing projects with the kids. And I make time, at night to have quality time, and the weekends are very sacred for me with the kids. My husband also has a really unique schedule because he's got weeks where he's off and he doesn't work at all. He doesn't have to check in. He's not, and so the kids are now at school for a big chunk of the day and he can do pickups and drop-offs. Like this week he's doing it, which is super helpful. So Great. I actually manage a lot of calendars and schedules, and it's all about being organized and disciplined and maximizing time.
No, I like it. Does take a village.
It takes a village.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky enough to have surrounded myself with a good team. I know you've talked about that a lot. Early on when we first met, I knew you had a village too, like your own team of people that help, and they all have their own unique roles. And that's, slowly what I've done. And as my kids grow up, their needs change. And I always those are adjustment periods, and you just adjust to it.
Yeah. Good answer.
And I have mentors that have it all too. They have kids and really successful 7-figure businesses, and so it's constantly an evolution and a learning curve.
Right.
I am by no means saying I figured it out, but constantly trying to.
All right, last thing.
Yes.
If any of my students want to contact you, what's the best way?
Oh, email would be the best way, and that's Candis, Candis, at spotlightgroup.agency.
Awesome. All right. If you haven't signed up for LEAP yet, do it
now,
because we are going to have an amazing year. Candis will be there again. This will be her 13th year as a mentor there. We have some amazing people coming to speak. We're super excited about the gala. So please go on our website, sign up now. Bring your parents, bring your friends. It will be an amazing evening, and Kirsty's going to sing for us. And with that, Dr. Bill, over and out.